Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirk Cast with your hosts, me, Jimbo, and of course, my good friend Calvinator. As always, we'll be discussing MFL updates, transfers, developments, and so much more that has gone on over this rather calm week with no games, I think we can all agree on. One important note before we kick off this episode, none of what we chat about is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. Calvo, another episode 75. What are we going to be chatting about, and who have we got with us in the studio?
A nice milestone episode again, 75. And today we're also going to try something new. We'll start like another series called Bench Talk. We're going to talk about topics who are not super important or small discussions who've been placed on the bench. And now they're all going to come off the bench, and we're going to talk about all those topics.
5 times at once.
We're not going to do that alone. We have also a guest. Well, let's say he was not on the bench, but he's been with us. He would be a starter, of course, in our WenDirk first 11. He's been on the pod twice. First to talk about starting MFL, and also our big milestone, episode 50. He loves buying packs on Flowty. He loves giving feedback about the engine. Welcome back, Palmer. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's good to be back. Third time of charm, as they say. So, no, thank you for having me.
Welcome back, mate. Glad to have you on.
Yes. Yeah, so later on we have loads of tiny, small discussions, topics. We were put on the bench. We're going to talk about them. First, I guess, again, a little stream drop talk. I think it went pretty well again, Jimbo, right?
I agree. Stream drop. The stream itself went really well on Wednesday. I think we could all agree the packs that everyone opened, yet if they were, they were off stream or just on the stream, were probably the poorest we've seen in maybe the stream's history. I think we didn't. Yeah, I think we saw a couple of upgrades. Nothing flash. I think the highest rating we may have seen was like an 81, 82. There was no purple. There was obviously there's a little bit of the hiccup with the drop piece, which hopefully you didn't get impacted by, but I think for the most part, everyone listening to this probably was impacted by, and hopefully still managed to get a pack. But I think from an opening point of view, it's probably a bit underwhelming. But maybe that's just saving the excitement for probably 3 weeks time for the mid-season transfer window. When you really need that upgrade, you really need that pack, and you'll get it in the mid-season transfer window to help your squads. But apart from that, it was a wonderful stream. So thank you.
Great engagement again, but indeed the pack luck, the gods were not with us with that. Also, I really feel for Zoetert every time he's opening them, and every time it's like a little bit disappointing. So hopefully one time his big day is going to come. Yeah, let's get started. So how was our week? So of course there were no matches this week, but what would be your moment then? So Jimbo, what would be your moment in an off season time?
It's kind of not. I don't really say it's my moment, but I guess it's kind of a moment. Well, it's not really. No, I don't think it classifies as one, but I'm going to say it regardless anyway. Is they minted the remainder of the ice clubs. Lo and behold, a third Norwich license has been minted. So I am hawking over that club's Airtable, waiting for the day, the hour, the time that owner's address or owner changes from MFL to a bunch of 16 or however many random numbers and letters. So if you do pack it, let me know. We can sort something out, because I want me bloody Norwich club, or give it to somebody who's a Norwich fan as well. I feel like we need to monopolise, us Norwich fans need to monopolise the Norwich clubs. But there was another Ipswich club which was minted, which was great as well. There can only be one Ipswich club. And I think it was actually an active license, so it's straight down to ice, which is phenomenal stuff, just like they'll be in the Championship next season when they never get relegated from the Premier League. I don't think that actually happens, though. But yeah, that was my moment, that I saw a license.
Another Norwich on your radar.
Another Norwich is on the radar. It's looking tasty. If it's and it's an ice as well, so it's proper from the bottom upwards.
Yeah, it would be nice to get that promoted. Palmer, any moment for you?
I was going to say, quite funny that Jimbo saying at the beginning it's been a quiet week. I think these pre-seasons are always manic, DMs flying off, refreshing the scouting table. But yeah, my moment of the week has probably got to be the BFC Mustangs. Shout out to the BFC DAO, kind of coming off the back of season 2. Had a very good league performance, managed to avoid relegation quite clear, which was my aim to get into safety, and managed to put together quite a strong team for season 3. So yeah, it's been a lot of haggling, a lot of DMs, but we've managed to get there, and we've got a strong team over the line for the season. So looking forward to that one.
Tasty.
Nice. So
Well done.
another plat season.
Oh, we don't talk about Platt anymore. Sorry, Calva.
Okay. All right, my moment. So I was thinking what can be my moment. I also could talk about all of those DMs, and indeed it's quite chaotic and busy, and it's like, especially for bigger agency, you get so many messages. But I thought, Palmer, you were my first referral, so that was a nice moment. The first episode we talked about it. This week I had a bit of some days off. There were like some days off here, and it was like let's get that 10th one. I had this 9th one sticking for so long, and I needed a 10th and a standard pack. So I thought I'm gonna do spaghetti tactic, just throw so much at the wall, clickbaity videos, some giveaway, some like Twitter posts, and it was a lot of spamming. But I did get the 10th one.
Is it worked? Wait, that's amazing.
Lucas still has to validate it though. It's just like pending validation for 3 days straight. So I'm getting a bit nervous. Like, was it really a referral?
I think it will come on like Monday or Tuesday, because someone was having the same thing in the Discord earlier in the week, and I think Yax replied to him was like, "Yeah, it'd be like early next week." Yeah. So it's you'll get it, mate. Congrats! I did see a lot of activity from you on the socials, and I remember you messaged me before your YouTube video, and you were like, "Wow, Jimbo, I've got a hell of a baity one here," and the title, and I looked at it and I went, crikey, he's really gone for it here. And then I looked yesterday, like the giveaway you did, which you've just revealed the winner for on like Friday, Saturday, went, cool, he's really, really going for it.
Yeah,
so I'm glad it's worked out.
But I really see this also as a game, like kind of, can you generate attention? Can you get people to check out MFL? And it's quite fun to do. But yeah, we have those days off, you have time for it. Normally I don't have time for so much content, but it was fun to do, and it worked, so I'm happy. Let's talk then about the game itself again.
Can I add one more moment of the week?
Yeah,
I want to say it's a community moment of the week, and I want to give you a bit of praise here, Palmer, and hopefully maybe you might be able to expand on it a bit more. Is that during the week there was a user who purchased a club off the marketplace, which had a number of players on there, which had a high percentage of revenue associated with them, who the old owner still maintained, was the agent of. And Palmer, correct me if I'm wrong, that you went and bought those players and basically revoked or cancelled their contract, so the new owner of that club basically doesn't get shafted. Is that correct?
Yeah, there was 3 players listed for 20% each revenue in a Stone Club, and yeah, so it got purchased, and it was found in the sales button, and the guy that bought it, or girl, they them didn't have a Discord linked, so I think it was like $12-13 to list them up. They're all worth nothing. But I have seen the club back on sale for $68. I was like, I've done it all for nothing. but that's not the point.
Yeah, no, I saw that
hopefully
happen.
It saves someone.
That most definitely, yeah. And I saw it happen, and I saw people saying that what you'd done, and I thought that's a community moment of the week. And we'll go on to a bit about etiquette later, and that was sort of go above and beyond. We'll say is the corporate bollock people love to say in sort of their reviews, but that was big from you. So a lot of respect for that, Palmer.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No, definitely a good deed, and whatever happens afterwards. We don't talk about it. It was good. Okay. Dev updates. So season 3 is live, of course. Rollover day was faster and smoother than ever before. And yeah, of course, don't forget the register. They just, when we were recording it, gave how many? 12 more hours to register? 24?
I think it's 12. They extended it by an extra 12 or 13. I think it's an extra 13.
Just dropped it in. Yeah, they've just dropped it in the Discord there. So it's 13 hours. They've extended it by.
Okay.
So they've just put a little announcement.
Well, when everyone hears this, it's already over. But there's always a late registration possibility. So please do that. Stadium names, so of course that's a new feature, and the character limit has been increased from 15 to 25, so you can give longer names to your stadiums. player suspension. So they're still testing this. Of course, it needs to be done well. And it will be also continuing this week, the testing. Some UI improvements. So when purchasing a club, you get like bigger warnings about things, or when you buy players, and also retiring players now have a little icon next to them, so you know they're gonna retire, which is very important. About the drop, a lot of new players have been minted, and the store also has been opened, of course. There was a big issue, but with the drop, you'll notice that probably, but Jax has fixed it, and it shouldn't happen again. And of course, Jax is sorry for that. So thank you, Jax, for fixing it. Then a lot of updates, of course, about the engine. There have been some major improvements after rollover day, like rebalancing, better goalies, improved sprinting mechanics, etc. There was also a patch with goalkeeper ratings have been adjusted. There's another version in progress where the yellow card logic will be a bit improved, and better spacing for players who have the ball, and better shooter-goalie interactions, etc. Of course, always do read the patch notes to know exactly what's going to happen, what has been updated. Oh yeah, and then the big thing, I almost forgot. The big thing is that Quentin is exploring the idea, is testing some automated tactical decisions during matches, so that you can set maybe some subs or some changes based on in-game conditions. So if you're losing in a 60th minute, you throw in an extra striker, etc. So I think that's the last thing is the biggest update, right? Any reactions to that?
Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, it quite nicely goes with the whole yellow card, red card piece about, well, if there's suspensions now kicking in, and the impact of red cards, which has been toned down slightly. I think it was last week they announced that. A lot of people were saying, well, can I do some preset tactical decisions that are automated in the game? So it's good to see that they're now exploring that, or not exploring, sorry, testing. That's past the exploration stage. That is into testing environment, which is great to see. So I wonder, maybe next week we might get a flavour as to what those might be. Maybe it's an example as to, before we had the 2D engine, we got shown little snippets of their development or that testing environment. Maybe we now see next week, here's a couple of examples of what sort of tactical decisions, subs, those adjustments we can be expecting, because last thing I think we want is them to announce something and all these of them go, what about this, what about this, what about this? I think we can probably give a little feedback to that. So it's really exciting, really promising development, which is actually quite big.
Indeed. Now it's great they're looking into it. And of course there's a big debate. There's like two camps. I think some people say you should have like those preset tactics or like scenarios. If this happens, then this. And you don't have to watch live. And there's like other people say, you have to make live changes or watch it live. But of course, with different time zones, it would disadvantage people. So I think I'm more part of the former group who says presets is better, some scenarios. And then we can kind of keep it worldwide, global. You don't have to be present always, especially if you have like Make Think or whatever. You have 18 clubs, then that's going to be hell, of course.
I feel sorry for that.
18, like 40, whatever. Many clubs. Palmer, any reaction? You think the same?
Yeah, no, I think I was chatting to a few people. I think there's going to be a tactic to force a player to get suspended. I'm definitely going to be, individual instructions. Go get your fifth yellow card, mate, so you can have a bit of a rest. Was it Real Madrid back in the day where they were telling them go lump 7 bells out of him so you can get a rest next game. So yeah, I think it's going to give a lot more depth to tactics, especially if you are focused on a single team. It will give a bit more to do, because I think sometimes you can jump in 2 minutes later, rotate fitness, and you're done for the day. But if you're wanting to dive a bit more into those tactics, it's going to open the door for a lot of little thoughts and things you can do.
Yeah, especially there's like another layer with player instructions than this, and it's getting so much more complicated that it's definitely rewarding people who test a lot and who know what they're doing and have a feel for the engine. So that's
Definitely,
great.
yeah. Especially for like, I think you alluded to it there, Palmer, towards the end of what you just said about the fatigue piece, and how fatigue at the moment is related to how many minutes an individual plays. So if you can go to someone with a lower physical rating, you only want to get like 65 minutes, then maybe that doesn't decrease their fatigue as much, so they can play more games. There's more layers to this 100-layer lasagna being, or we won't use that analogy. We've done apple pie before. 100 layers of MFL lasagna, maybe another one.
MFL lasagna. Hashtag incoming.
Ren recipe,
Great. Okay, move on to Diamond update and the match of the week. But of course, there were no games, no competitions, no leagues, no cups. That all starts this Wednesday, the 5th of February again. But of course, you can register. The current update, latest time I checked, 2,184 clubs were registered out of a total of 3,060 clubs that exist in MFL.
Got an update on that.
So that's great, right? A quick update, yeah.
I think someone big or someone with a few clubs has registered, because it's now gone to 2,211.
Oh wow, that's
so
quite a big.
I did see Bountiful put in the chat that he forgot to register 20 clubs, so the announcement and extension is helped him. So there is your 20 clubs.
Okay, fair play.
Nice. Well, it's definitely a big record. We're making it bigger. That's nice. So a lot of clubs have registered. There's still late registration, so do register. I think there's one big Diamond League news we need to talk about Trust the Process, who bought the Diamond license from TR99 pretty much to farm MFL, right? To just get that 150k and end the last spot in Diamond. And he called his team TTP Training Grounds. I already have some thoughts on this, but I want to hear your thoughts on the ethics or the MFL etiquette. He did ask people, like, is this okay? Well, of course it's okay. You can just do it. But
he tested the waters in the Discord first, didn't he? He was like, well, if no one else is gonna get it, like, could I just get it, pay X, I don't know how much he paid for it.
$7.99.
Yeah, because I think it kept slowly coming down, didn't it? Maybe, and it was one of the newly promoted sides as well. Am I right? That was the one that was branded like Diamond for Season 3 or something on one of the French chaps. And I think he may have changed what he's going to do with it. I remember his messages along the lines of, well, if I farm the rewards as it comes down, it will hit a level where it's probably competitive, and it can stay there, and it will have the rewards from that. But also, whatever strength squad he puts out, it will be relatively competitive in the cups. There's a chance for him to like add a bit more MFL that way as well. So, I mean, he tested the water with the Discord, and everyone was like, "Yeah, it's fine." I feel like you it's a bit of an odd one, right? Having that sort of, to see what the squad is like. I've not had a look at it in Diamond, but well entitled to do it, and if it's there and you've got the funds and the players to do that, go for it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, it is allowed. It is a way to make a lot of MFL. I do think already you can get free kind of rare guys with that reward. If you have some good pools, you almost have that money back already. I think like kind of 500 maybe around the ballpark. Then you only need to bridge that 300 from plat rewards and down. So for sure, it's a good no financial advice, but a good investment or good plan. The only thing I told you, Jimbo, before recording is like, you can give it a bit more identity, a bit more, flavor, a little bit, like calling it just training grounds, TTP training grounds. It's like that. But he can call me if he needs some inspiration logo. I'll gladly help him. And
for 50% revenue share, I can help you with a couple of identity.
Yeah, but yeah, it's okay, it's allowed, and Trust the Process is a great guy. I think he's a valued member of the community, so we all, of course, just do it. It just looks weird, and they're gonna get hammered every week, every day. That's also gonna be painful to see, I think. But
do you know who the last team was they beat to get into Diamond in the playoff? No. Team free team plus $1,000, which I think is quite funny. I was looking at the matches playing. I thought I'd have to say that.
Team free against Team Diamond Season 3.
Yep.
It was like
Team free versus Team free MFL, but it's not free MFL.
Well, let's see. Next week we have the first updates, Diamond League Season 3. let's see how they did then after the first 3-4
If they get a
matches.
single point in that division, it's a miracle, by the way. Like, if
it would be
they somehow
hilarious, yeah.
turn up, even with the goal, I've just looked at the squad, the highest rated player is a 60 rated. If they score a goal, I reckon that might happen. We'll have to put odds on here, how many goals they score, over under 1.5 in the season.
I was going to say, I think I was seeing some people calling that he kind of DNFs the games and just gives everybody a 3-0 win, which is probably the fairest thing to do. He gets his MFL revenue. Just don't sign a goalkeeper and do you know what I mean? Just not submitting a game, because it's going to get messy if you've got a diamond team on minus 300 goal difference, going up against these 99 shooters. But yeah,
I think it's quite funny. Like, yeah, we're going to have this massive underdog. Like, can they score a goal? It's like this movie, Like, they're going to get hammered every day. And can they score this one goal?
You better believe if they get a result against someone, engine feedback is going to go absolutely ballistic.
For sure.
He's got a 16-year-old contract to the team as well. So you'd thought that maybe 16-year-olds, you wouldn't... If you are going to say DNF, well, you're not going to get... I don't think...
Also, he messes up progression in those matches, right?
Yeah,
he's going to mess up the progression of the talent gap there. Yeah, so...
quite funny.
Yeah,
we'll see. San Marino in Diamond, isn't it? San Marino. That's
Group A of the Nations League, basically. They absolutely whooped each.
Pretty much. Yeah. Although they are now better than Liechtenstein, they promoted to the C division. So should be Liechtenstein, but
best of the worst.
All right, to be continued. Then market moves. Quite some new managers. Frat M, Leeds ROE, Cohen, Lukion, Kevin D, 54 Tay, Mr. Roy, Bip, Will, Swen D, Tom Lee, Mark, Jeff Fatih, Janus 7, Peppo, Robbie Oily, and A Jack Facial. Interesting name. Then new user. That's his name. Then new user of the week, I put Orange Fly, because first of all, he bought a ton of players, which is great. But he also bought an 85 Lego center back already as a new user, 22-year-old, for 300 USD. But this is not really a big surprise, because it was from Mace, who kept spamming the player buy-sell channel that someone had to buy this guy, until Ronan said, "Jesus, chill daddy," which I think was very funny. And then he stopped spamming, and then also his guy was bought for only 300 by Orange Fly as a new user. So I think that was a great story. Then some other market moves, other stories. Akane, who was first buying Legos, changed his strategy to buying commons, apparently. He bought a lot of lower end ones. So he's now finding himself on the other side of the market. Rare players, Duff bought an 84 rated goalie, 29-year-old for 175 USD. So this is interesting to see what happens with those older guys trying to find the old player floor, let's say. Like, is it worth buying 29-year-old goalies? It's a pretty bargain, 84, I would say, for 175. But let's see what happens with those older rare players. Legendary then, Armia had, I would say, the surprise of his life maybe, when he opened up the MFL app and he saw that an 87 rated striker, 20-year-old, Robert Bieniek from Poland, was listed for only 300 USD. So he quickly hit buy. And it was
That's what that was referring to. I saw a message in the Discord. I couldn't figure out what it was referring to. Whoa, that is a bargain, by the way.
And it is like from a guy who just bought one starter pack. And he got like this dude, so 87 striker, 20-year-old, bought a pool. And like a 90-year-old center back, 61, or goalie, 19-year-old, 61 goalie, I think. So just like two, he just had, and then he sold this guy, and that's it. And he sold the other guy, I think. But yeah, great start. Hopefully he spends the money also on MFL. And then finally, clubs. Again, a tale of locations and the divisions. Niako bought Paris Ice for 200 USD. Quite a lot for an ice club. And then Ed bought Teheran Bronze for only 100 USD. So again, the prices for bronze iron are still pretty low, while location keeps being important and premium. People are paying premium for, of course, big French locations.
Yeah, before we move on to SOTW, Orange Fly, I think I've heard he's from So Rare and he's part of the So Rare Ramble guys. Apparently he's a really good guy, who I think they might try and get on their pod at some point. I think he's like they've known him for a long time. He's a pretty chill guy, and he went straight into. I think his first club he bought was like an Iron Club, so he's just gone right. I'm going to go ice and build buying over a stat squad. I'll just go straight into Iron, and I've got the funds to do, which is great. I feel for Akane. I think it's probably worth mentioning this. He's in a bit of a sticky situation with the Dapper wallet, and it may even be I don't know the complete details, or it could have been banking stuff as well. When you come to MFL and drop 70 grand in a week, probably a few flags get raised, and I think he's feeling the rough end of that unfortunately. So I think that's he may have a couple of bucks left over, which is why he's in the buying common market at the moment. But it's unfortunate. Hopefully that gets sorted out for him. But let's see. But
maybe that's why it's interesting. Like I saw so many Akane buying commons, so he's still buying commons, but not.
And he also said the wrong contract to someone as well today.
Yeah, so I saw that he can't deposit or anything. I think so. He can only spend what he sells, which is why he's also listing a few clubs, because he can't man them up. So it wouldn't it makes sense if he's got a few dollars left in the Dapper. Blast it on some commons, so shame really.
Yeah, big shame, and bad, very bad that Dapper, like, I don't know, blocks that, and then also is so irresponsive with some requests or customer service. So hopefully they step up their game. Okay, Jimbo.
It's also like for the future as well. If anyone else comes, I know that what Akane did was sort of way out the blue, and you could probably argue OTT because of the speed he did the buys at. But if someone else was to do the same thing, can happen. We are comparatively speaking, we are a rather small game in terms of user base. If someone did the same thing, and it's like 20, 30k, will that be the same process? Will they then be, enabled to deposit funds for, X amount of time? Is that a great look? That sort of thing.
And that's really crazy. You have like this gambling industry and people, and they're like, oh yeah, just spent $50,000 on stupid bets, and no government agency raises an eyebrow. How do you say that?
Yeah.
And then with this as a crypto, and then they suddenly it gets bad or something.
I did actually see. May clip this out if it's not worth it, but I did see there was a report out this week in like some British news source saying that a gambling firm who knew that one of their customers was like an addict and was trying to recover from gambling. They got reported that someone did an investigation and found they'd sent this individual like 1,400 emails in the last 2 years or last year, and they've been absolutely smashed for it because like you knew this person has a problem and they've got all the measures in place to help them, but you're still emailing them like 4 times a day. It's like you can't do that. That's just horrific.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's fine. But no, apparently someone with their own money, which they want to do. And I guess it makes sense that things get flagged like that, right? But it's just frustrating for the user regardless.
Yeah, true. All right. The stage is yours.
Splash of the week. Calva, I probably need some help with this one because Splash of the week, the nationality is Polish. So I'm going to try my best not to offend a nation and yourself. So
yeah, well, his first name is just Andrew, but then the Polish version, which is
Andrzej. Yeah, cheers. Yeah, I'll just call him Andrew. I'll just call him Andrew Adamski then. Andrew Adamski.
No. I'll say Andrzej. That's how I say
Andrzej Adamski. I thought the surname's quite easy. As a commentator, you wouldn't say the full name, just say Adamski, and I think that's quite easy to say. So Adamski, 90 overall. $1,040 US, US non-tariff dollars. We don't know that yet. Age 23, triple position, baby. Right mid, right wing back, and a cam. As I just mentioned, he's already Polish, and that probably won't change unless we get dual nationalities in MFL. 90 overall. Here are the stats: 71 pace, 86 shooting, 88 passing, 96 dribbling, 86 defending. And 84 physical. Sold by OM Legends manager Joe B to fellow captain Bucks for Life, aka Bill. Congrats on winning Splash of the Week. A rather nice purchase, I feel. 90 rated, probably one of the bigger ratings in the last couple of weeks. Some nice all-round stats and triple position.
And pretty young, 23. And and he got a couple of caps last summer. So he's an international of the Polish
Bit
team.
of experience.
A bit of experience, indeed. So, but yeah, where is he going to play then? Like, is it like I go to Platz? Will he be loaned out by Bill? I don't know what's going to happen with him. We'll see. It's then very quick. IRL, MFL. You have any FPL Premier League thingies?
Today, Arsenal whooped Man City 5-1. I actually didn't get to watch the game. I was driving back home, but I listened to it on the radio, which I usually don't listen to games on the radio because I just like watching football rather than listening to it, which is kind of ironic because you're going to do a podcast where you don't watch any of it, you listen to it. But I saw that they won 5-1. I watched the highlights after this. They got smashed. City, I think it was the first game they'd lost in the league since before Christmas, but it feels like they're just crap, which they are at the moment after their horror show at PSG last week. Liverpool won. Who else had a good show in? Definitely not United. Commented as highlights later.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest. Chat about that. 7-0 at home to Brighton after losing last week to Bournemouth, I believe it was. And I saw a great post on Twitter that there was a pub in Nottingham that was giving away a free pint for every goal that Nottingham Forest scored. And I bet they were doing a free pint for every goal. I think it was 2 for 1 in drinks and burgers and another deal as well. When Nottingham Forest go and win 7-0 and they're giving out 7 free pints to every single person in the pub, great publicity, and I'm sure they'll probably recoup those losses that they made from yesterday during, people come back to that pub. But a phenomenal result, and Chris Wood might just be my front runner for the Ballon d'Or this year, this year. So we'll see. Great result.
Yeah, that I think it's great marketing for that pub. They've definitely everyone knows the name.
I think it was a pub in Gedling. I can't remember what the name of it was. It was in Gedling, which I think is like
Gedling Inn or something. I think it was.
Yeah, fair play to them.
I think the IRL MFL has to be that game as well. I saw it was like 35% possession Forest had, and like they won 7-0. So I think that's a good MFL stat for them.
Yeah.
So I saw it again, a tweet of it saying for all those possession, not nice words. There you go, 7-0 loss, and Brighton had 60% possession, which you get that in an MFL. There's going to be some broken keyboards. Yeah. Quentin's messages would be going wild.
MFL managers experience that on the daily. What are these Brighton fans of Forest fans are nothing.
I have to quickly check the XG now, but let's see if I can find it.
Yak said last week that Quentin uses XG fairness in the development of the engine. Calvo, you are ahead of the game, and so is Quentin.
Yeah, apparently.
I thought, when I heard XG fairness, the words that came to my head were utter woke nonsense, or XG fairness. But apparently it's maybe a mainstream thing. You might be onto something here.
Well,
fairness.
Nottingham had 3.4 XG and Brighton 0.88. So they did win fair and square, but 7-0 is a bit much. Then that's a bit, that's a bit too much.
They don't have much of the ball. They're actually kind of like just a clean team to watch though, because it's so like they're decent in possession when they have it. They're not crap with the ball, but then when you've got Gibbs, White, Elanga, and Woods, and sometimes you can rotate that with like Hudson-Odoi. It's a strong front line, and it's lethal on the counter-attack, considering Chris Wood is not the fastest of players. He's just an absolute finisher this season. He has been for maybe like last season and a half, but we all thought he was finished a couple of seasons ago, and now he's clearly not finished. He's
not finished. He's 29.
He's not finished. He's 29. I was thinking I could get that one in there. I can hear me, but yeah, good result for Forest.
Yes. Okay, so then I always need to talk a bit about the Dutch league, people are often complaining they see in 2D something happening, and they're like, why is this goalie dropping the ball? Or like, why this doesn't look realistic? Why this is happening? But crazy things happen IRL. So if they happen on the MFL pitch, that's also okay then. That's IRL. That's like real life. But this week, actually yesterday, Fortuna Sittard played Heerenveen. Heerenveen is now coached by Van Persie. And at one moment, Fortuna was playing with 12 players. There were 12 players
so
in the
funny,
field.
so funny.
And the referee apparently noticed it, quite, well, not directly, quite late. Something went wrong with a sub. And then they had 12 players. And now I think they asked the international rules, like association, what to do with this, like how to solve the situation. But yeah, if this happens in MFL, if you suddenly in 2D see 12 guys walking around, you would go nuts, but it can happen IRL, so it's crazy things happen there.
Yeah, that was I all over my socials this morning was circles around every player, and I think the concept was the Sittard made a double substitution. One of the players came off, and a second player came to just get a talking to on the touchline. He wasn't one of the people being subbed off, but the ref and the fourth official thought he was the substituted player, and then he went back on. 12 men, they won a corner. The ref went, hang on a second, you've got an extra player here. That guy's not got off. He went off, and then from the resulting corner, Rodrigo Guth then poked it. I think it was headed in the equaliser. And you can just imagine Van Persie absolutely seething in his post-match interview, which I did watch, although I could not understand a bloody word of it, but I could just wanted to see what his tone of voice was like. You'd be raging that was happening to you. In MFL, but definitely in real life, you just see that.
I'm really curious how they will fix it, because of course Fortuna, it's also not their fault, right? They're not doing this on purpose.
It's no one's fault. It's not like
a referee
on a 12th player and gone, we'll cheat for a bit. Just poor refereeing.
Indeed.
Classic, nearly as bad as English refs, but maybe not.
Let's see how it gets resolved. And now finally, second week in a row, we have a guest, so we can also update our beer top 3. What's the current top 3? On the third place, M. Brandon's Wenling. Second place, Taggart's Brewer's Banquet Original, and Dio last week put Delirium on the first place, brewed by the finest monks in Belgium.
The only real...
That's only real beer. It's made by monks. Well, I agree with that. I'm also a big fan of Belgian monks making beers. But Palmer, would you replace one of those, and what would you replace with?
Run me through the list again.
So, Delirium, number 1 by Dio. Brewer's Banquet Original, Taggart's second, and Wenling third, and Brandon's beer.
I'm trying to think. I don't know any of those. I was going to say I'm not a drinker. I haven't been for a while, but used to love an Erdinger. Has that been on the list before?
No, I don't think Erdinger has been on there. No.
In that case, then I'll throw it in third. I'll be polite. I can't take Dio's off after his rant. I'm sure I'd annoy him, but I'll throw an Erdinger up top purely for the sole reason that Jurgen Klopp used to be on the glasses. So,
awesome. So Erdinger, Palmer is now third place, which means that Taggart's beer, Brewer's Banquet Original, still second, and Dio's Delirium remains number 1. I don't think
anyone will touch Dio's. That's 1 in fear of being absolutely berated
you can't dare.
After the listen.
That's gonna be quite the fight, I think. If someone kicks that beer out. Well, we don't know. Let's see what's gonna happen. Speaking about beer, I first wanted to call this segment side dishes, because there's like a lot of tiny things that are not like a main dish. They don't warrant like a big episode, but we need to talk about them. But then I thought, make it a bit more football talk, so we call it like bench talk, the topics we put on the bench, and now they can come off. So we have 7 little topics we're going to talk about for a little bit, and then we finish this with a question from Dio also that Palmer's going to answer. And our first topic is MFL Etiquette. We made a whole episode about it, and quite a lot has changed, I would say, meanwhile. Maybe more people came in, a bit more debates, controversies. So we need to talk a bit about it. In general, what are your thoughts on this, or your observations? Or
in general, for the most part, the level of etiquette within the community is pretty good. I think we've seen a couple of bad actors over the last couple of months, but that coincides with the growth of the game. So the more people that come into NFL, the chance there's going to be a couple of I guess bad actors is probably the most fair and unbiased way to say it. we won't name names because even if they're listening, they probably know who they are. What apparently called an MFL profile. They change weekly with their name. But I think, before we get into it, I'll say that I think the MFL Etiquette's pretty good, but there's a couple of bad actors out there who do some things which, I'll use the word, I don't want to use the word scummy because I think that's quite harsh, but there's sometimes they wouldn't do it to your face. They wouldn't sit there and look at you with their phone and go bang and do it whilst looking at you. You wouldn't say it to my face, mate. Wouldn't do it to my face, then don't do it over the computer. But that's why I do it, because, I can't come raging through the screen like some sort of a horror movie and strangle them. No, wouldn't do that. Definitely wouldn't do that. I think the MF etiquette's been good. We can go into details after Palmer says his bit of what he thinks.
Well, I'm curious. I think Palmer is someone who does like to throw him into the discussion and is quite outspoken. So what's your take?
What is my take? How long have we got? It's a difficult one. I was speaking to somebody in the Spanish community actually yesterday or the day before, and they brought it up. And it's that thin line about it's not illegal. You've not done anything where it's a slap on the wrist, don't do it again, but it's just not right. And I think when obviously in a game like this, finances get bought into it, bad behaviours like that can put a lot of people off. I mean, a few other kind of, games, Discords, channels now that I've kind of got into over the last few months where they have dedicated, channels within the Discord about, they do weekly kind of be aware of scams and, make sure you're not getting ripped off, and things like that are probably what put off a lot of people from getting involved in NFTs and crypto, and they think, oh, it's all scam, it's all shady, there's rug pulls, I'm going to lose my money. And that's me speaking from experience. But yeah, when stuff like that happens, it does kind of make you step back and think, oh, do I want to be getting involved in these people, in these deals? And, I've had it before where I've done a multiple player sale. Evaluate's now gone. It's got to all be done through Flowty. I've, overpaid for the first player to get the bulk amount of the funds, and then I get a message going, oh, actually, I want more money for the next player. And you think, right, what? And it's it's like, well, we've agreed it, and they go, well, actually, fees or whatever, and you're thinking, oh my God. So it does happen. People do have to be vigilant. When things like that, when sniping happens on the marketplace or on Flowty, you've not done anything wrong. It's not illegal. When contracts get accepted to the wrong club, it is what it is. But yeah, I think, Jimbo, where you said there, if you wouldn't do it to somebody's face, just do the right thing, cancel the contract, send the players back, get your fees covered. And speaking from experience, I think it got mentioned, me and Sellers kind of sold the Platinum Club Mustangs to each other. I sold it into the DAO because I, no longer wanted to manage the club, and kind of got the club back in a managerial role. Popped back up in the market without me even knowing. Akane bought it, messaged Akane, said, yeah, no worries, chuck an extra bit of money on top to cover the fees. Not great, but, I want the club back, so I've done it. And, Akane could have gone, now I've got a good price on that, I'm not selling it you. He would have been well within his right mind to do so. But it's that etiquette piece, and just do the right thing and don't be a dick. Is the phrase
hashtag don't be a dick, yeah,
or a duck. Don't
be a duck, yeah. Stop ducking around, man. Don't be a ducking idiot. Yeah. I think it's some of the Flowty pieces the one that really rattles my cage a bit. It's the whole, low-balling offers. It's not even low-ball. It's just downright disrespectful and uncalled for. When someone's trying to do a deal, there's a couple of instances where you can't actually trade players on Flowty because of like their ID or something, so you actually have to
too old.
Too old. You have to actually go and purchase them. But if someone's purchasing them for like a cent, which is what we had in one of the examples, and someone goes in there, how can you buy that player and go, cool, I feel good about myself? You've not sniped a player, you've almost scammed two other people basically, because that's not the right thing. If you buy it by accident and then you give it back, all is rectified. If anything, your reputation in the community goes up. and people respect that more, and that could benefit you in the long term. But it's just not needed, is it? It's you're basically preying on other people's downfall or other people's stupidity, which it's always a tough learning curve, and it's all happened to all of us at some point. We've done something, or we've mistrusted someone, and we've been burnt out as a result of it. The contracts one's also another ball game as well. For 0% players, and you try and sell them, you don't cancel contracts. That's a bit nasty. If I'm unsure, I'll usually now always put my players like 2-3% on my own clubs if I own them, on the basis if my mind changes, I will, and I want to sell them. They still get a percentage of that revenue for the rest of the season, but then I can cancel at the end of it. If I sell any player, I'll always cancel it after the end of, say, whatever the season period is. But some of the floaty stuff, it's just give it back, bruv. Give it back. It's like it's. I think there's also scenarios where Mad Woman had the trading between her and her husband.
Yeah.
And someone sniped that. I can't remember who it was, but then I think MFL even took that listing off the website, off the marketplace, to hide it. And I think it eventually did get sold, but then I think someone bought. I can't remember. Was it Noe Sark?
Noe Sark.
Noe bought it and then gave it back to her. And I think that's phenomenal stuff. Like, you've gone out your own way, used your own money, regardless if you've made it with MFL, you've got loads of money, you've not. I think it's just a phenomenal thing to do. So same with your example, Palmer. It's just, in a game of reputation and trust is one of the foundational elements to the game. It just makes sense to do the right thing.
Yeah,
I guess it's easy for us to sit here and say it, but that's it's just how it is. What do you think, Alva?
Well, there's a couple of things. There's like many things. Well, this whole debate reminds me a bit of like tax evasion versus tax avoidance, right? Like, one is like, it's like the legal way. It's also not proper, and the other one is illegal. So this feels a bit like tax avoidance. Rich people parking their money in some art gallery in the Bahamas or whatever they use. Like, you shouldn't do it. You should contribute to NHS, right, and whatever, and be a good citizen. So it's a bit like, be a good MFL citizen and just do like honorable deals, and you're like kind of like messing with people. So, but it's also there's always the more we grow, there's always gonna be bad actors. So I think the best way is to kind of organize ourselves. I know Gaffer has like his naughty list or whatever. You have like your network of agents. The same discussion, people saying, oh, my loan offers don't get accepted. Yeah, just network, contact people, create your own network of agents and work within that. Maybe we can even come up with some kind of badge of honor, or like some Discord with only honorable agents.
Right.
Or like whatever.
Yeah, what's the Black Mirror episode where
Mirror in China,
they go and like upvote and downvote, and all this, isn't it? And
social credit.
It's a Black Mirror thing. So if you smile at someone, they'll give you an Uber review, and there's buildings only reserved to high credit people. And I remember seeing a few years ago there's some Chinese cities and that using it. And again, I've had conversations with people that said, oh, we should be able to review, and I don't think that's good, because say something like this happens, somebody goes and snipes players, somebody outs them, they don't see the Discord for 2 hours, they might get 20-30 people jumping on the negative reviews. They give the things back, but they've still got those bad reviews, and people aren't going to go back and change it. I think one solution that I personally think would be good is, I'd like to be able to leave a note on an account that only I can see. It could be a case of saying, oh, I've loaned this guy before and he ran the player's fitness down to 15%. Don't give him back another player because he won't manage them well. Or, I've been stung in a transaction. Don't want to deal with that. It shouldn't be public bashing. I don't agree with the fact that, you can get little cohorts of people going, oh, this is a bad egg. Just people can go and experience that, get their own feeling, and they might never, they might be like, oh, I deal with him all the time, he's great, don't know what you're on about. But little private notes on accounts, I think, would be a godsend, especially, we'll touch on loans later on, but when you're looking at a loan, if you've got a note on that club owner and go, oh, actually, I gave them a player last season, they progressed +2, managed them really well, met the minimum games, I'll give you another guy. those little things in terms of etiquette is just who's got good practice in the game, who's playing it well, who's being nice. I'll throw some stuff their way.
Yeah, I think in the end, you have to create your own database or network and then work within that. And then it would be very good if you have kind of some system of like feeder and satellite clubs and you work with that and the people you trust. I think that's going to be more important. But let's see. If the community keeps growing like this, there's always going to be some bad actors. But let's move to the next one, which is the stadium names. I don't know. We didn't properly touch on it, I think, like on the new feature and how it will improve the game. I thought we need to talk a little bit more about it. I know, Jimbo, you have Silverstream Road, right?
Silverstream Road. I've not picked one for my Spanish side yet. I do have a qualm with it being called a feature, though. I think it's a great
it's like
addition,
a little touch,
but it's like an extra touch. Calling it unless it's a precursor for some like stadium stuff, then that's really cool. If it's like the precursor to that, but
I think so. Yeah, I think we've been talking about quite a bit about stadium or aesthetics or other uses for MFL and stadium names. So I see it indeed as like a little first step towards maybe a bit more visuals would be cool with stadium, like seeing like the color, like your fence and like little dots with like the color of your team. But indeed, is it a feature? It's like a little extra fun.
I do think it's really neat though.
Lore, right?
When so many of us create our identities for our club, one of the first things, usually after the name, the badge, the colours, is naturally that stadium name. To be able to put that in there is really nice. Great that they upped the character limit. I don't know if you took an average of all the characters in each English pyramid stadium names, probably way more than 15 or higher than 15 on average. So the fact that I can even put, I would have had to put like Silverstream Row, and just quite nice to put the end on there. And quite a lot of stadiums start with like the in the beginning of their name, like the Allianz Arena. I'm not sure if that has the. But I do wonder if, because I need to think. I've not looked at the commentary for this, but it says, so I could be completely wrong, and I'm completely ill-informed, but it says, playing in the Meta Stadium. Does the stay there? Because if I put. You could put a name in, and suddenly it's like if it's like the Carra Road, that sounds a bit odd. Does the stay there? Will there be will that change? Because that can make some stadium names look quite odd, like the Old Trafford. The Etihad works, but it's not.
I have the Kraus
going down the Asda.
Going down the Asda.
I have like now the Crow's Nest for Casablanca Corsairs. It's like at the Crow's Nest, in the Crow's Nest, whatever.
Yeah.
But I also thought this also could be a bit more like sponsoring. I saw one club already called like Ben X Capital or something. Like someone put his logo of like his little company there. Maybe you can now make it WenDirk Arena. Like I don't know, we can make it.
Yeah, sponsor some. I was trying to figure a name for my Spanish club. I just thought, let me just chuck it in Gemini. Let's see what pops up with. Comes up with a bunch of like bogus Spanish names, all with a star at the beginning. They want something more unique than that, right? And at the bottom, it's like sponsor related. I'm not even AI suggesting, I need a sponsor related stadium. That should be the way forward. Maybe, maybe from a WenDirk point of view. Any Diamond Clubs fancy being sponsored? Maybe we sponsor Trust the Processor side and we just get him to rebrand everything in the name of like the WenDirk side. I don't know, maybe that doesn't show well on the pod if it just gets absolutely hammered for 4 seasons straight. It's like, what are you guys doing? Sorry, we're Delia Smith taking over this club. We've not quite got the funds. We've only got the funds to pay for a mid-journey subscription to create an identity. No funds for players, sorry.
Yeah. But it's like, indeed, it's a little touch, but it does open like, okay, we're going a bit more aesthetics, personalization, maybe a sponsorship avenue, right? So it's definitely fun, and for the lore, and I like some people really create those narratives, and that's great to have it.
It's a fun touch,
down.
which I think is
it's
really
a fun
good.
touch.
Yeah.
I guess. What are the Palmer, the Mustang Stadium?
I was going to say the one thing I'd put it in the ideas and suggestions. Actually, I think probably a week before they announced the stadium names. But one thing that my mind goes to now is: are we going to have home teams for cup finals? If it's no longer played in the Meta Stadium, the home team has technically got a home advantage for a cup final. And I'd put it in the ideas and suggestions that if stadium names were coming out, I think each cup should have its own stadium to be played for the
Yeah.
semi-finals and finals, so that it's a neutral game. Doesn't matter who's home and away. This no longer Meta Stadium. There's whatever rebranding for the Titans, and I think that might be quite cool, because otherwise you'd be a bit, I've got to the cup final, I'm playing away. I don't want the away dressing room.
Yeah.
So I think that might be something that would be quite good. You have the semi-finals and then you have the final in a different stadium. If they just generated whatever, that might be quite cool. A bit more of a theatrical moment. I'm going to this. I'm only going to be able to play there once this season, because I'm in the stadium for the final. It's just little touches like that I think could be quite cool.
Yeah, I agree. Indeed, to make it a bit better. Then let's move on to new pack prices and floaty flipping. I put that together. So the I think those two correlate, right? That's the
most definitely.
The pack prices have gone up because there was a lot of, I would say, comments, criticism about people listing packs on Flowty, flipping them, etc. So do you think it's good that they raised pack prices?
I think it was inevitable after the demand we've seen for packs in terms of supply point of view, but also from a average price per rarity in MFL point of view. There was a lot of positive EV, as the statistic people like to say, XG, positive EV. And I guess from MFL point of view, the main revenue is packs. If someone's buying a pack for $120 and flipping it for $300, they can probably try and capture at least $50 more into that. And the person who buys the pack that they're willing to flip it still makes money from flipping it. But MFL also makes more money, which in turn is more revenue for them. Therefore, you'd like to think, it could be the difference between hiring someone or, an intern or whatever to help with development. So I think pack prices were inevitable. You could argue maybe the increase in pack price and supply could have been a bit of a double sucker punch as well, especially on the week with redemptions. We've seen prices for the last couple of weeks come down, but I guess the whole point of packs shouldn't always be you open it and you're going to get something that's immediately more valuable. It's that sort of that chance. And I'm interested to see how the market's already reacted to it. I think I saw standard packs were selling for what was $60, and then I saw them go up to about 75, 80. Then the next day they came down to about 59. I think they've gone back up again. There has been some wacky flipping. But before the drop, flipping was hot. It was on fire. It was, especially from a redemption point of view, that was, $12.50 worth of MFL for an uncommon player pack. Did someone say $35? 3x my money in 30 seconds. That sounds a bit too good to be true. Let's do it. We've all on this screen. We've all done it. We've all sold some packs. Palmer, on the other hand, has been a rather on the purchasing side to it as well.
But also reward packs is different, I think, than those other packs. It's like with
back etiquette piece again. But I think you mentioned this, Palmer, in the stream. People who were selling their rare player packs for the price of rare pack drop packs, expecting people to fumble the bag. That's also a bit naughty as well. That's a bit naughty.
Yeah, I saw a few people had fallen for that one, unfortunately.
Oh,
that's painful.
Oh, Spain without the S.
Yeah, but so I think we're all on the same page here. Like, it's good. You want that value, that extra value, to end up in MFL's pockets so that they can keep developing, growing the game. Especially the drop, because the drop is the main thing, the main source of income.
Yeah, so. I think I did ask Matt a couple of times, and he's not giving us the statistics on how many buyers already own clubs and stuff. Obviously, like we say, we had the hiccup. It is what it is. I was a bit frustrated with that. I very gracefully voiced my frustrations, but it's one of those. I'll be there for the next pack drop. It's just, when there's so much hype to it, you build up to it. You've got expectations to kind of help your squad, and then all of a sudden you can't get it. But then people that haven't had those packs in the last 3 drops, aka probably a lot of scalpers, a lot of people that are just coming to get the packs and dip off. It's a bit disappointing. But also, I think the increased price and a Kane or a Kane, whatever his name is, not being able to blow his dapper on $400 packs probably confused a lot of people. The resale of the packs wasn't that much, which I think if we keep this for another pack drop and then look to, I think somebody said, "Oh, never change the pack drops," and Yak said, "What? Not even to lower them?" They will. They've shown they keep the pack prices in line with the marketplace. So if that means coming down, if that means going up again, it is about that positive EV and making it worthwhile. But if the margin for the resale gets minimized, hopefully not a lot of people are just here to, get a profit out of the users and leave. If people are going to be buying and reselling packs, that money, hopefully finds its way back into the marketplace, and I think everybody's happy.
Yeah, you'd rather see a pack get opened, and then if someone gets a good player, sell it on the marketplace for more value, and then hopefully use that to reinvest in more players. That's probably the ideal way it happens, because they also get the money from the packs, a little bit of money from the sales fee. That's hopefully the best way. I think we will start to see that difference between the pack price and the sale price come down. It already has done. So it's good. It's kind of good to see it come down, but also I guess it's at previous levels it felt like it was unhealthy for the game a bit.
Yeah, it's good to keep it a bit more dynamic pricing, and then just based on some criteria. So it's good. I think good call. And then let's see. And indeed, I think a pack. Yeah, it's always in that the gambling. Like you pay more for an upgrade for that crazy pool. It's a bit more like risk, and the reward pack should stay low, that you can keep playing a bit sustainably with your rewards, etc.
Because that brings the player prices down a bit as well.
Yeah,
having that, because people won't list them stupidly, because people want to sell, so they'll undercut each other. This is natural until demand's there. But yeah, I think that's probably enough said on that topic.
Yeah, then
just better packs, please.
Well, this is a little bit connected to it, maybe, is about retirement. So of course, retirement, it's getting closer now. We know in end of season 5 we have the first guys retiring, so there's a couple of things to talk about there. Well, maybe the price, right, of retiring players, of old players, that's also gonna change a lot in the market. And we have the indicators, the announcements. So you have this warning sign is gonna retire. So I don't know, a lot of things to talk about here about retirement, but first of all, the value. I saw that there's like one guy called Edison Quinde who has this icon. He's gonna retire end of season 5, 84 rated CDM. Last time I checked, he was like a 290, and I think now he dropped. Like, who's gonna buy that? Like he's only because 3 more seasons in him.
The only thing that gets impacted is just his fatigue. I guess, is deplenishment even a word? Yeah, deplenish, how quickly that fatigue drops, and then how slowly it recovers. Aside from that, the stats remain the same. The one interesting thing I found is that in the white paper it states they announced their retirement 1 season before, but this indicator shows us 3. So they might have to go back and change that. And if you're listening, go back and change that, Lucas. But I don't think the market's really... Everyone's shit scared of retirement. Let's put that out there for a start. Yeah, you see a 25-year-old, you go, crap me, in 6 weeks' time, it feels like he's retiring. But you've got at least 7, 8 seeds. In theory, you've probably got to, at least 34, where the start of the majority of players retire. But anything that's over, say, at the moment, 26, everyone poops themselves and goes, oh, I need to sell this player. But you've got so much time with them still. So I don't think the market has really... valued, adjusted, priced. I feel like it has overly priced in, but then we don't really know. A bit like progression, because we're only 3 seasons in. But that price seems a bit $220 for.
Well, he's 84, so he is very.
He's very good, right?
He's very good, yeah.
I don't know what his progression's been like, so he could have, an extra stat on him. But it's, just to dump $220 on a player who, before summer starts, will be zilch, feels
he's now $199. Listed for $199.
$199. $20 discount.
Yeah, for 3 more seasons of a player.
So. That's just that's that sales strategy, isn't it? Just put it just 1 cent or 1p under for the 1.99. Everyone goes, oh, that's a bargain. But actually, you wouldn't pay for it at 200. You pay for 1.99 though. I do think it's a little bit overpriced. But then again, it depends on the value of the rewards. Foreshadowing near topic. Does it justify getting that price? I think you have to do a bit of calculations, don't you?
Exactly,
but on face value, just from looking at it as a player, not taking rewards out of the equation and where it's going, seems a little bit steep in my eyes.
For me too. Yeah, I think. But yeah, is it going to be a race to the bottom? Like, where's it going to settle for like all the retiring players? Like, there's at one point it's still worth getting them. We also don't know about the utility of retired players, right? About the stuff. Is it also going to be in higher overall translate in a better trainer, better coach? In that case, they still retain some value, the higher overalls too. So there's quite a lot of unknowns.
Does it turn out to be like a So Rare player moved to the Saudi League where they still hold a little bit of value because they could transfer out somewhere to where there's a scoring league in So Rare, but a bit like Neymar coming down, everyone's like, fuck, he plays the Saudi League, doesn't get much game time, now goes to Santos, albeit probably won't get any game time there because he's made of glass.
Can't bend his left knee.
Yeah, can't bend his left knee. I did see him bend down to kiss the flag on the pitch or something today, so he's clearly got some. Yeah. That's probably broken. It's probably done his ACL in doing that. But I'm just interested. I don't think the market doesn't really know how to value these players. Because
I think the difficult one, is when you say that value. Until we see players who are 35, 36, 37 with no indication of retirement and they're going, oh, my 28-year-old could actually have 10 more seasons, that value will go up. But, I think if there was a bell curve, you hit 27, 28, that just price diminishes. And then, like you say, when you're touching on the fatigue depletion, the only problem is, I think the only utility for a player in those last 3 seasons is probably loan them out for as much revenue as possible to try and get something back. But then who's going to be giving out high rev sharing? If you're looking at an 84, you're thinking, either a top silver tide or, mid-table gold. Who's going to be giving out 6, 7, 8% rev share for an 84 player who's going to fatigue really fast, not going to be able to play as many games, going to need more rest in between games? There's a kind of lack of incentive to even loan him in. So you can't loan him out because people are going, oh, I don't want to give that much for him. You can't sell him. So I think there does probably need to be an announcement before the first cohort of retirees to say, this is what we've got in the works, or free league, # free league. Do they go into those legends, 5-a-side, Sky Sports Football, Masters Football,
Vets
and you get a bit more utility out of them somehow. But to be honest, I'm not too sure what the answer is. I am just trying to avoid any player who is, over the age of DiCaprio being interested.
Will any of you boys own a player until they retire, do you think? Or would you reckon you would have forked them off by then?
No. Well, maybe like
Fuck them
ones,
old boys.
Like your agency legends, right? Or and it also, with 0% rev, it might be worth it just to, instead of keep buying new guys, try to carry some of them to the end, 0%. More like use them really.
Just put auto accept like 25% ISO or above, and I'm sure someone will buy it. Someone will buy it. You'll get some game time. We've seen how the money market's been.
Yeah, the thing is, we just don't know enough. Also, how like they're getting tired more quickly, recover slower. Like how slow, how quick. We also don't know that exactly. So that's really.
Oh, we can go by the white paper. It says during the player's final season, players' energy will decrease significantly faster.
Yes,
and that's also the word they used for the overall versus potential difference for younger players is significantly different towards the average. So maybe we understand how they view the word significant, because that's a subjective word. If significant is one game he's at 100%, next game he's suddenly at 57, that is significant. Are we? I don't think it will be that. You can't drop him down to no XP trading. No trading XP within one game, a bit harsh. But let's see how they view significantly. And maybe that might help to progression. We don't know.
I mean, that's another thing. If progression's done, can you get your 34-year-old to miss training? Go rest up, don't train. You know, get a bit more fitness back up for match day, and you're good as you're ever going to get. So you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
I mean, it's
You know,
like
is
it's
that
like
a
real life.
workaround?
It's like real life football. So surely it should be a thing in MFL as well. Just give them a couple of days rest. It should be a thing, right?
Have Monday off.
Okay, next one. Moving on to big topic, hot topic, reward structure.
Well,
So I elephant in the room.
Skip.
I know.
let's
We
see
can
what
skip
Matt
it.
comes up with for season 4, which I think is what we're.
Yeah.
I think they are. Matt is reviewing it. I can imagine it's absolute pain.
Well,
to
it's
review.
definitely high on the agenda now. We've all
Yeah.
been talking about it so much. He knows. Yeah, he knows what the thoughts are of majority of the community.
If
I
they need
think,
to
so.
if they need to sort of like recycle rewards within, and let's just say they don't just offer up like an extra 30% MFL to what's the current total, because that's just gonna, all the inflation stuff. I think they should probably take some rewards from the round 16 in the cup. Don't know how big that is and how much it has an impact on it, but I know that being in the cup is beneficial if we make it out of the group stage. But then the round of 16 can offer a healthy amount, but maybe you should make it more rewarding if you get to
But
the
is it
quarters, the
really-
semis, the finals.
Is it about the cup? It's more about the league, right? That's
No,
the
but
whole topic.
taking rewards
Okay.
from the cup round of 16, removing those and giving them into the league. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. Maybe a way you can try and recycle some of it.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is,
yeah.
Go on,
No, go
Barbara.
on.
No. You. My thought was useless. Yours is probably far better than mine.
No, I was going to say I like the idea of you get into the knockouts of the cup and you start earning MFL. And again, I put it in the chat before. I think if you were to take that IRL aspect, you got knockout football, you're going to be on Amazon, you're going to be on Sky, on BT or TNT. There's going to be viewership, so we'll give you some money for the cup run, which is, FA Cup, whatever. You get a cup run, you get a bit of money. I think we've got to look at the playoffs as a cup. There is
there's a
playoff
big one with the
football.
playoffs,
It's a big event. Strip a bit of the money out of the top 3 spaces. So if you come second and you don't get playoffs, tough. If you get second and you go and win your playoff match and you get promoted, you get even more.
You get a bit of a boost, yeah.
Because you've won in that playoff game, you've got your television money. I think that's the ways that you can negate that tier. You can flatten it a bit more, but also ensuring that if you do get promoted, you've got a bit more MFL if you can put it towards a player to go and help you survive. I think it needs to be a bit more of a straight line without it just being jumping off a cliff. And I mean, I've also seen in other games, not to name names, they don't pay out the whole table so that they can ensure the rewards are good enough. I don't like that aspect, because if you're getting relegated and no rewards, what's the point in playing?
Yeah, double blow in it.
But it probably needs to be a little bit more manageable. And then I think the only other caveat on that is we probably need to hammer XP a bit more in the lower leagues. I don't think if a rare player in ice should get any progression. I think it should be a case, you're way too good, mate. What are you doing? It's training ground. You don't get any progression. Move all your players up. And then that way, there's actually an entry level, because at the moment, you might as well not have rewards in ice. I mean, what's the winner? It's like 2,000-3,000 MFL, which is a couple of dollars. That can't even buy you a 60 rated player.
And those teams being promoted at the moment probably are all uncommon, all rare players.
All uncommons and rares. So
yeah.
if you alleviate a bit of the straight line, take some MFL out the actual league standings to put into the relegation playoffs. You finish 9th, you're nearly relegated, you win your playoff game, you come up here's a bit more of a boost of MFL. Make sure you're not in that position next season. It makes those games a bit more worthwhile. So you're not going to see tanking in the playoffs, because there's more money rewards to be won. It's not just, I've come third, I've got my MFL. No. If you win, you get an extra 10-15%. And also, if we change XP, you move everybody up, and people can have competable teams at lower levels. Because I think that's the problem, is people are saying, I can't get any returns in my ice, stone, maybe iron team because of how strong you have to do it in the marketplace. Meanwhile, go on.
The only one thing I'll just to play devil's advocate,
Go for
and
it.
just for sake of this, that I think I do like part of the thing about hampering XP for the rarities in lower divisions. There's an element of, because of things like strength creep and progression, it might inevitably be that a lot of rares end up in Iron, which I think is then harsh to. I think if it's the talent gap gets more of an impact. If your rares are coming up against uncommons, it's more of an impact, because we could see in 2 seasons time all of Iron is just rare. That's perfectly something that could happen. But I think that maybe it should be a bit more of a
I think
a penalty on that sense.
Yeah, my flip side to that is when the cup, draws come out, you only have to go into your participants in the cup, and whatever you might be in I can't remember the cup names. You might be in the middle one of the 5,
like
and you've got gold, silver, bronze, stone, ice teams all in the same cup. That shouldn't happen. What's that going on about? So they're clearly playing above. I think when you hit the cup, you should literally be looking at the league table and it's being an extra competition, rather than one team's playing 3 tiers up, one team's playing 2 tiers down, because there's a lack of strength. It's a bit messy at the moment, and I know everybody kind of said, "Oh, give it a few seasons, it will promote itself out." We're a few seasons in, and it's still a big problem. It doesn't look to be getting any better.
Yeah, I agree with you with that harder XP penalty about maybe indeed make it a talent gap, but yeah, against that stacking, because like if you look at the reward structure right now, I was a bit surprised with my goalie I loaned out to a bronze team that he made way less than some guys I gave to a Stone Club. I'm like, how the hell is this possible? I'm like accepting contracts for bronze, and he's barely giving me any returns. But then you look at it, right? Like last place bronze is 6,500. That's also Stone third place, so you can better give him to loan him out better to a good kind of stacked Stone side than a very bad bronze side. Which sounds weird. There's like 2 divisions. There's a whole iron in between.
Yeah, some of that needs to change.
Yeah,
I wouldn't agree on the last place division above being more than the champions of division below. I think there still needs to be a little bit, maybe like the automatic relegation, or the 2 of the 3 automatic relegation. You do earn less than, say, the top 2 in the division below, because there needs to be, you were crap, you can't just earn more than the person who really deserves to be in that division. But I think there needs to be some changes, because I think, Calvin, you highlighted it really well there. Why send someone to bronze if they're going to be in a NAF team just for a little bit of XP? But if we all got the greed of MFL, right, and getting that balance up, send them to a stacked Stone. If they come first, you get more than, stacked Stone. You're probably getting more than 8th place bronze. You get more than the Wyvern. Send them to some stacked team in Stone. Like it's
exactly
doesn't fit. But
yeah.
Before we quickly move on, because I know we're time is etc. Did you both notice the fair play guidelines in the white paper last week? Do you see these, Calva?
I think you alluded to them before. But
so last week they added the MFL Code of Fair Play. MFL is built on the pillars of competition, strategy, and community to protect the integrity of the game and ensure fair competition. This Code of Fair Play outlines the standards all managers, agents, yada, 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 yada. It's basically saying that we've got the reason to come at you if you're, deliberately exploiting things, if you're pressuring or threatening other managers, agreeing to transfer assets in favour of match results, coordinating match results, fielding players out of position with the intent of underperforming or losing on purpose. I feel is a very hard one for them to evidence, because how can you evidence someone's intent? But I think it's more for things like collusion and match fixing. I think for that piece more. But
it feels like the MFL judge we need to
but that got added last week, I think, because it said last updated 4 days ago, and I've never seen that before, and I'm sure it would have been pointed out before as well.
But there's also a bit of an etiquette, but it's also a bit of relates to this reward, like tanking relegation, right? Like, is that the way to go? Indeed. But good they added it. It should be on paper. It should be something they can do as organizers of the league. Two more things. We have the loan system. So possible issue that new users face, or bigger agencies with like all of those loans. There's like people spamming you with offers, and then they are in the chat like, "Oh, no one is accepting my offers," and they're very sad. So what? How can we maybe change this? Or
Do you want to kick this one off, Palmer? Because it's a topic I know you wanted to have a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say it was in the Discord. I think yesterday evening, somebody saying, they're offering 5-6% to their ice, and they're not even getting 60 rated accepted, and I think it probably is a bit of a barrier, to be honest, for a lot of new users. The whole, you can come and buy a club and loan players in, practice the game. I think a lot of people are kind of realizing, actually, I need to go and get, a bit of a cohort, a bit of a core team, and then loan the extras. I'm kind of, I tried to put myself in the shoes of when I was first playing, but also I just kept depositing like crazy and buying. So I wasn't really a loan-in kind of user. But somebody who kind of gets a lot of DMs, and I don't have a big agency. I'm not trying to say I do, but I do get a lot of DMs from people asking, "Oh, I've got this player and this, and it's a difficult one because personally, I will put all my players to open for offers. I will then start building my teams over the coming days. There might be a couple of players that I want to loan in. There might be a couple of players that I've got question marks. Am I going to use them? Am I not? I'm not too sure how my teams are going to come. Start building up a bit of a bulk of loans, and I'll then kind of go through and have a look at them. I've had it before where I've been burnt, where I've accepted loans first thing, and I go back 3 days later and they've got 5 extra players, and I'm thinking, oh God, are they going to be able to register? Are they going to be able to compete? So I like to look at the team that I'm sending my guys to. The big thing, and again, I've raised it in the chat, is probably that mass reject. There's the only ones I really reject is multi-season ones where people are going 2% for 3 seasons. No, get in the bin. I will go and do those, but I think if we could have blanket kind of rejections and also a bit more ability to set up what we want to look for in a loan. If I've got a player under 23, I want minimum games. Give me a 0% and a 10% on minimum games 15. If there's a guy 26, 27, I want to be getting rev share. Don't care if he's on the bench all season. Give me as much rev percentage as possible. But it seems to be a bit of a blanket kind of, you want 10%, sweet, what league do you want it in? And that's going to be it forever. It's like, no. I might want 5% from iron, but 10% from ice. So how do I put 5% and then get 5% from ice, and I don't, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of frustrations, and we only have these frustrations for a week or two during the transfer window, but I think it's a lot. It makes it very difficult for onboarding, makes it difficult for people with big agencies that just can't be arsed and just go, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think the guy you might be speaking about was either the Leeds Arwe guy. It might have been him, because I've been speaking to him I've been speaking to him on DMs and helping him with a few things, and I think I loaned him a player because I've not got many left. Like that, he'll be competitive. I know he wants a 40 rated stinker, which I think he said he's got quite a few from the starter packs. But I was messaging him Friday night, and then he said Saturday lunchtime, he was like, I've not got one player on loan since I spoke to you last night, and I've sent like loads. And I was lost, and I do feel the pain for them, because, and we can say, oh, have you talked to people? People will come to MFL and won't have a clue what Discord is, and they'll have no clue how to communicate with other people. But so that we shouldn't really be thinking or suggesting that as a solution. I don't think, not first off anyway. But I think it can be hard, because for new users to get some loans sometimes, because they might have to just suck it up for a season, have a low overalls, maybe not have the most amount of fun, and they may be put off by the game. So I guess there's that. I don't really know how you fix that. Just offer more, but then you know there's the opportunity cost with that. I do definitely agree, Palmer, with your. Can we have more customer? More customization for what we want our players to have on their contracts, in terms of what we want people to be giving us to, either 16 to 19-year-olds, And if I don't see minimum 15 matches, I may not even reject it. I just don't look at it. Can I please just set in my open to offers minimum 15 games so it ensures that? Because that's the key thing I'm looking for those younger ages progression. If obviously a bit of revenue is nice as well, but if you can just guarantee me game time, I'm much. And you're not. It's not like I've got a high end rare and he's going in stone. You're outright getting binned straight away. But if you can ensure me progression, I will slack off. And be more I'm less reluctant to then ask for a higher revenue share. That's
it's indeed it's getting harder. So Palmer, when you joined, I think also everyone was way nicer. They were just like, okay, whatever, 1% auto accepts, bulk list, also way less players, bigger market, and now it's getting more competitive, way more teams, way more ice clubs. And now, like, I just checked out scouting, auto accept, and there's like people listing for 9%, 8%, but then there's still so many guys. So I'm like, what's going to happen to all of those in 2 days? Are they just not going to play? Are people okay with that? Like, or they don't play at all, or just 9%? It's like, is that the choice, or are they going to be lower? Do you have to wait a bit longer?
If you put all your commons up, or even up to like uncommon 65, 66 rate, if you put auto accept, just say 5%, which is like an average, but even if you put 7% auto accept and all them, I guarantee they're gone within like 2 hours. People
that's what I did.
And people will hoover them up, especially mid-season. And it's like, well, if you've got players you're not going to use, it's a bit like the whole flipping thing, isn't it, really? Like trying to flip for a better revenue share. You've got a player in, I know you're not flipping it, but it's like, you're putting that contract, that auto accept on really high for people who need those players. And I think I'm sort of like on the fence whether or not I like it or not. It's great if you're the owner, obviously, but if you're not, you feel like you're taking advantage of someone. But then again, it's them they have to click it, and but it's. I would like to see maybe some of the rev shares come down. But maybe does rewards change that? Because some people have auto accept at the beginning of the season, all their auto accepts gets taken up by all the new users. Lo and behold, those new users, some of them are inactive. You've just wasted a player on progression for a season. There's that risk. There's that risk as well. So there's a bit of a risk reward by putting auto accepts, because you could have a stinky manager at the end of that club who's going to tear your players and destroy them.
But there's also the supply side risk. If you look at all those guys, like who the hell is going to pay 7% for a 55 rated? Like all those guys are not gonna play, I think, if you keep them like this. Yeah, like a 7% for a 55. Well, there's way better ones. So are they gonna come down at the end, or maybe we can have a bit of like an auction system that just say just before the deadline, like a deadline day, they lower by 1% each hour or whatever. I don't know, to still get them signed, or they're not gonna play, and you cannot send them to Dev Center, or it's gonna cost too much. So yeah, we need to rethink it. Of course, it pays off to have your network of agents and keep spamming them. But we also might need to rethink it. Yeah. Okay, let's quickly move on. It's already 1.5, approaching 1.5. So I think there was a shout out. Well, Palmer, you give a lot of feedback to the engine. So you want to say something about?
I give a lot of constructive criticism. No, I was going to say I'm not really one of the people that kind of. I don't run friendlies. I don't have the time or the patience or the eyesight for it. I go and scout my players, what I think they will play. I put it in a team. Season goes, crack on. If it's not going well, might run some friendlies. But I think it's one of those where we're picking up, I say we, the community are now picking up kind of bugs and faults with the engine, and saying, the corner setup's not right, or my goalkeeper's a bit too far to the left on this shot, or why is my defender pressing the ball, or why are they not crossing it in? And to think that 2-3 months ago we didn't even have the ability to see this in 2D. We were looking at lines on a screen, and then you go even further back from that, and there wasn't even an engine, there wasn't even games. And I think it's, we always want more. Okay, you fix this, brilliant, fix this now. Right, go fix this now. And, actually, this isn't right. And, you leave it a few days and you see Quentin's in there, bang, 10 paragraphs in a row replying,
Yeah.
well, this. And, I think it's not just that, it's obviously the language, he's trying to explain things in a different language. And there's, many people who English is a second language trying to communicate about the engine and what they think and what they feel. And I think it's the integrity of Quentin that needs a bit of a shout out, is that he will sit there and explain his decisions. He will answer questions openly and honestly. He doesn't go and do it in private messages. He said, I want to keep it all out in the open. And I think that honesty and that willingness to change, whether people like it or not, is brilliant. He did the poll on how fast do you think these persons' stats are based on the catching up, and people going, I don't think that users should be able to dictate it. But actually, the fact that he's being open about it and saying, this is what I programmed, does it's more of a visual check. Does this look right to you or not? And the fact that he's open to criticism and open to change is brilliant. I think probably don't see that quite a lot. The engine's normally cut and dry. This is it. Good luck. See you later.
And I do like as well. I think there was, if you don't check out, just for people listening, if you don't check out the engine feedback because you're not putting feedback in, I highly recommend you go listen to it, read it regardless, because engine Mike Quentin will talk about the engine, and it'll basically sort of be a bit of put a transparent window on the side of the engine and will say this stat affects this. He'll always put it in there because it means everyone has ability to see it. I think one person said, can I DM you? And he's like, if it's about the engine, I'm not going to give you anything because everything I say about the engine has to be transparent. It's not fair giving advice to anyone. Fair play to that. Obviously, we should expect that from them. But there's definitely some information there. I know a few times I've been just skim reading through and I've gone, cool, that'll be useful. I'll screenshot that. And then when I've got time, I'm doing some tactics. I could go, actually, the reason why this is happening is because Quentin said X, Y, Z affects the amount of yellow cards. Everyone on high dribbly boys dribble more often, probably going to get more yellow cards and fouls for the opposing side. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Palmer. He does well. I know if I was on the other side of that getting berated by, the constructive criticism, from everyone, I'll probably lose my mind slightly. But for what the work him and Yaks are doing is phenomenal.
Big shout out.
Big shout out, yeah. Although the set piece structure needs an overhaul. It's been ropey at the moment. It's ropey.
Bin the corners and go again with that one, Quentin. I'll tell you that.
Also, I think it's sometimes if you look at throw-ins as well, there's no marking going on. Like your player will just your player will run to the throw-in, and then the opposing player just stands behind. Like, yep, go on, just take it. No need, no challenging, no 50-50.
That was the appreciation part.
Flip it over.
Yeah. No, big shout out. Like, it's really, with it's almost everything in life, right? Like, you just, you get a new house, whatever car, and then it's like, okay, 2 days later, you're used to it and you move on. And you should really appreciate also 2D, all of those new features, individual player instructions. It's incredible. That
they don't shy away from criticism either. That's the good thing. They don't shy away from it or shut it down, which is really, really healthy for us as a community to know that they do take things on board. And usually if you do shout loud enough, there's enough of us and do actually change some things sometimes. But yeah.
So big shout out to the team. Then
to the team.
Final thing is the question from Dio, because Palmer, you are a guest, so you also have to answer the question from Dio, who was our last guest, and think of a question for the next one. So Dio asked the following question: for success of MFL, should the team focus a bit more on increasing the complexity for the FM crowd, or make it easier to have more teams owned by, let's say, way more players coming in, let's say? So it's a bit more quality, quantity. That's a bit how I see it. Make it super. You understand?
Yeah, I'll try and make it quick. I think it's a difficult one because he mentions FM, but I think at the moment we don't see many people coming from FM. We probably see people coming from So Rare who like to set a lineup, leave it, come back, did it do well or not? And I've heard people say, obviously, again, the suspension. So I like to set it and leave for a couple of days. How will I be able to do that? So I think if you go too complex, you're going to put people off from thinking, oh, gee, I just want to throw a few lads out there, hope it works, and see you later. But But then on the flip side, if it's too easy and people can very freely go and have 10, 15 clubs, it hoovers up the marketplace for new users coming in where they can buy the club for cheap, but then they can't buy the players. And I know we saw it with Make Think when he sold his 200-300, uncommons. The market just went, what is going on? Crashed completely, and he's still kind of trying to get its feet. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. I think they're kind of doubling down on the complexity in, suspensions, individual tactics. I'd like to see them develop that a bit more, maybe introduce injuries in a couple of seasons and kind of then go from there. I'm in the mind where, one team or two team is good rather than 10. But I also keep buying clubs, so I'm kind of my own worst critic. But yeah, I think I'm in the boat of add more complexity, because that is what separates us from other, kind of football management games like that. It's not just a set and leave it. We've got the 2D engine, we've got individual tactics. I think we should go a bit more in depth with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think also with the FM bit as well. Well, the crowd over at Football Manager, who play Football Manager, is if you're coming from there to MFL and you hear the word NFT, you probably like run away, because it's just the connotations associated with like a Web3 game, NFT game, and I think that's why MFL wanted to sort of, I guess, get away. I know they can't get away from it, but brand themselves a Football Manager game rather than like an NFT Football Manager game. Trying to lose that bit, because I think I've said it on the podcast before, and maybe you'll agree, Palmer, people from the UK, for example, tell them, you're into NFT Football Manager game. They'll be like, oh, okay, like, have you been scammed yet? What are you doing? Are you okay? Let me check up on you, that sort of thing. But I was surprised few more people from FM haven't come over, but I feel like a bit like So Rare, slowly at first, then all at once, and I still think we're seeing more and more people each week from So Rare come over. It doesn't take much after a few big users come over, from So Rare. Could be same with FM. Once you get one or two sizable influencers in the FM space, then they help to carry over. But we've definitely got the more complexity into the game to try and capture them as an audience, for sure.
Yeah, no, and hopefully that coincides with the team delegation, that you can have maybe as an owner 10 clubs, but it's impossible to manage, but you can still delegate it to friends who can then play for free, or to other people you trust in your network who can play for free. That also creates a network effect a bit more. So you have two birds on stone with releasing that. Mm-hmm. To finish it up then, Palmer, any question for our next guest? You thought of something?
I always struggle with this one. I've just thought about it over the last 30 seconds, really. On the introduction of stadium names, I'm
a good one. Okay,
I'm gonna free roll this one. Would people rather see an introduction of stadiums so you can build your own stands, name your stands, bit of kits, or would people like to kind of go down the route of building training grounds? And, a place where the better training regardless of kind of division. Do people want a better match day experience, or do people want a better training experience? And I will let you guys reword that and ask that next week.
Make us do the hard work. No, great question. Whoever our next guest is, don't know.
Good luck trying to understand it.
We'll get a next guest. They'll be like, I heard that one. I don't want to answer that question. So, you've made it this far. Well done. That's 2 episodes in a row. You've made it to the end, and you probably could have watched all the Premier League goals on Match of the Day twice this weekend if you'd stayed around for both. Hashtag incoming right now. Hashtag Quentin Beans. You can either type it, you can emoji it, preferably emoji it. We want to give some love to the man Quentin behind all of his hard work with the engine, as we mentioned earlier. Palmer was giving his love. We all gave our love to Quentin. Hashtag Quentin Beans. Up to you if it's the emoji or the words, preferably the emoji. I don't think it's got as much love as the Yaks bomb. If I don't see it on the dev updates, when Yaks posts them, I do like to introduce the Quentin Beans into the mix there. It should be there. He's part, even though he's not posting dev updates, he is a instrumental part of dev updates. So hashtag Quentin Beans. Before we round up today's episode and we give the final whistle, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Palmer for his 3rd appearance on the pod. Thank you very much for joining us, my man.
No, thank you for listening to me for the last couple of hours on your Sunday evenings. Appreciate it.
And I have to do it again for the next 24 hours when I edit it as well. But right, thank you all who tuned in on the stream during the week. Thank you all for listening today. Obviously, hashtag Quentin Beans. Hope you've got most of your squad sorted out, even though you do have a couple more days until transfer window closes. At Friday, I think it closes. I think we said Friday it closes. Make sure you're registered. Actually, scrap that. Hopefully you're registered and you're not taking a late penalty point, because it will be done by then. But further ado, thank you all so very much for listening, and we'll catch you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirk Cast. Thank you for listening.